as Kevin De Bruyne lashes the ball into the net.
Great running from the Serbian. Into Balotelli! That's a super finish!
Back by Zabaleta, and City pounce. It's Raheem Sterling. Sanya's cross comes in, Boric spills it, and it's finished off. The goal number 2 of the game, Wilfried Bony. So come for a shot, and Bournemouth score through Murray. Inside, puts it onto his right foot, keeps on going, Sterling scores! Is racing through, he's run at the goalkeeper, it's an open goal for Navas, he cuts back, he keeps on going, Headers Navas' shot is saved. Sterling! A hat-trick before half-time for Raheem Sterling. He plays it to Bony, but Bony on the turn, the icing on the cake. Wilfried Bony.
Rodri scoops it forward, Mahrez,
again, trying to get across him maybe after taking on the defence, pulls that back and it's smashed in! A hat-trick for Haaland!
tries the shot, Rodri, good save by Onana, Haaland on the rebound, Foden, he does end in a goal! I've lost count of the passes, but it must be treble figures!
It's 1-0 for Manchester City. And it's Ilkay Gundogan with the first goal scored at the Etihad this season. Kevin De Bruyne looks up. He's got Haaland there. He'll go it alone and scores. Here is Foden. Foden! And it finds its way in for goal number 3. A look on goal, sells a dummy, it's found its way in, and it looks like an own goal, but it was all down to João Cancelo.
Good afternoon, welcome along to Matchday Live, and welcome along to Pep Guardiola there as he arrives at the Etihad Stadium. It is 2 minutes until 2 p.m, 1 hour 2 minutes until our 3 p.m kickoff here at the Etihad Stadium as we take on Bournemouth in the Premier League, hoping to secure another important 3 points. A rare 6 days off for the boys in blue this week, which did mean that we could bask and enjoy that post-glow of that Derby Day win, that Derby Day demolition job. Of course, 3-0 winners there. We'll be hoping for the same today. Kyle Walker, will he be in that starting 11? Hopefully that man will be for my fantasy football. I'll be bringing you team news in just a second. My name is Kel Spellman and it is so great to be back with you here at the Etihad Stadium live from the Matchday Live studio with an all centre-back panel to my left. I mean, I feel like an honorary centre-back, just a little bit smaller, in the form of Steve Howie, Jolien Lescott and Keith Curl. I'm going to start though with a man I've not seen for a while, Jolien. Good to be back with you, mate.
It is a long time.
Looking very smart. Anything to do with your skipper being in the studio today?
Yeah, I got criticised last time. Well, it's the home game, so you know what I mean. I got to dial it up for that. Dial it up.
Keith, I mean, I'm going to come to it a little bit later on the show, but of course, you know, Jolien's camp. Do you remember being with young Jolien there? Well, am I right in saying, did you have him cleaning your boots?
Yeah, no, I think he was about 15, 16-year-old when he first came into the football club at Wolves. You could tell then from a young age he had a presence, he had a good attitude about him, that he wanted to learn, he wanted to listen, but he could also play and he could defend.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, gosh, don't we know it as Manchester City fans? And Steve, great to be back with you. What a week for two teams against Manchester United for yourself. With the
yeah, I mean, obviously it started off fantastically well for the derby. I thought United were, I mean, I don't think that they got started, to be quite honest, but I thought that was because of City and how well that they played. Could have been a lot more, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So I think 3 was kind of doing them a little bit of a disservice.
Yeah.
And then against Newcastle, again, obviously the Man United manager's thinking he's going to bounce back, and Newcastle catched them and beat them again convincingly. But I have to be honest, not a tear shed for me, so quite happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. None in the studio as well. And I thought we've got to start the show on that point. It's always nice to talk about our neighbours struggling a little bit in Manchester. Anyway, we of course are taking on Bournemouth in an hour's time on that pitch right there. So let me bring you our starting 11. As chosen by Pep Guardiola, it looks like this. In goal, it's our number 1, but he wears the number 31, Ederson. Kyle Walker, we saw him there arriving at the stadium. He is in the squad, captaining the side, alongside John Stones, Manuel Akanji and Nathan Aki, both of them coming into the fold for Ruben Diaz and Gvardiol. In the middle, Rodri, Kovacic and Bernardo Silva. And then a forward 3 of Doku, Alvarez and Erling Haaland, who I've just been informed, if he does score a hat-trick today, which as we know could very much happen for that man, that'll be 50 Premier League goals for him. Unbelievable. On the bench we have Ortega Moreno, Ruben Diaz, Calvin Phillips, Jack Grealish, Gvardiol, Nunes, Foden, Bob and young Rico Lewis. Keith, I'll come to you to begin with. 4 changes from the Derby Day win, noticeably the 2 at the back. I'm wondering, why do you think he's maybe opted for Akanji and Nathan Aki over Diaz and Gvardiol?
I think the games coming up will be playing a part of that as well, and also their mobility. This one is Pep can pick who he wants to play, because it doesn't change the rhythm and tempo of how they play. But you get that by more and more game time and more minutes. So again, sharing the minutes around, rotating your squad, vitally important this time of season, just before you're going to come up to a very, very busy time. You want everybody to have had good minutes.
When you come into this busy time, Jolien, how difficult is it, if you know you're maybe not one of the players, I mean, who knows, starts every week at Manchester City, but for you to use these games to get that rhythm? You know, Nathan Ake not kind of starting a few games, big chance for him, I guess, to build that rhythm, and so important.
Yeah, obviously, especially from a defensive point of view, you want to have rhythm and repetition, but I think this generation of players view it differently. I think from my time, I don't know what the guys think. When you didn't play, you felt like you were dropped. It was based on performance and results, where nowadays it's not the case. Like if Erling Haaland was to score a hat-trick and he didn't play, you wouldn't see it as a surprise. It would just be a case of, there's a rotation policy at the club, and that's what Pep does, regular. So I don't think anyone is questioning the decisions or frustrated with the lack of game time, because there are minutes there for everyone, because they get to the majority of the last stages of every competition they play. Yeah,
I kind of think it was like 60 games or something last season. We've spoke about, I mean, in the past, not so much under Pep, you know, about kind of having a regular kind of 4 defenders starting to build up that know-how and trust. But I mean, is it a Pep thing, or do you think it's the way the game's changed, where now we do see kind of a constantly ever-changing defence? You know, I remember when we won the league with you, Jolien, you and company was that kind of, you know, that banker for us. Now, as you say, I mean, Ruben Diaz is on the bench, Akanji. Is that Pep, or do you think that's the way the game changed, that it's kind of ever-flowing?
I think it's a bit of both, really, when you look at it. I mean, as Jolien had sort of said, I think as not just a central defender, but I think as a player, you want to be playing week in, week out. And when you're not, you're banging on the manager's door asking why. But I think now the players, they know how many games that they're playing in a season, how competitive it is, how difficult it is. And obviously you've got players that all want the same thing, which is to win the league again, to go as far as they can in the Champions League. Obviously the FA Cup will be coming up as well. Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I'm not too sure about the 2 lads, but when you've got, maybe it's a different goalkeeper playing, and you've got that understanding or lack of understanding, sometimes you might have a goalkeeper that likes to come for the ball. You've got a goalkeeper that doesn't, likes to stay on the line, and it can bring a little bit of uncertainty with it. But these lads have played with each other. Everybody's played with everybody, so they all know what they're really good at, what maybe they can sort of think, well, you know, sometimes he might miss that one, he might miss this one, so you can kind of cover for each other and have a really good understanding. And I think all these lads have got a very good understanding of each other.
Yeah, their football intelligence.
And if you look at it, 3 of the back 4 started in the Champions League final.
Yeah.
So it isn't necessarily a weakened back 4. And with that one person that didn't start was Kyle Walker, who was arguably our most important defender at times. So listen, there's never going to be a time where you're going to feel like you're not favourite, because if you don't play today, you play on Tuesday in the Champions League against young boys, which is a disappointment in that.
How you've all been in changing rooms? How difficult is it to create that atmosphere? I mean, you can't just do that one season. Obviously, does it take years for you to kind of all buy into, accept you're going to start some games and not other? Because now we just seem to, as you say, it's a given here. But it's not easy to create that, I guess.
No, I think Jolien just touched on it there. I would have hated it. I wanted to play every game, barring injury. I played every game, and having that mentality and that mindset of you're being rested by the manager. And he's like, well, I don't need to be rested. I want to play. But like Steve said, the amount of games that you play nowadays, being successful in all the competition, you can't play 60 odd games. You can. Back in the day, you could play 41, 42 out of 46 or something like that. You could get away with that. Now, to turn up and put in a level of performance that's required to be successful over 60 games, you can't do it physically.
Yeah, you need those changes indeed. Listen, I'm gonna roll myself off from this back four because I think the one man who could complete it and then no one's getting through is Andy Morrison, and he is with Alistair Mann on commentary team today. So let's get their thoughts of this starting 11. Over to you, Ali.
Yeah, thanks, Kel. Yeah, we've had a few minutes to digest the team news. Former City skipper Andy Morrison alongside me. You've seen the City team. What strikes you most about it?
Well, I looked at it, and the first thing that comes to mind, Ali, is that you make 4 changes, and it's as strong as the last team we put out. I think it's remarkable, because maybe 1 or 2, but 4 changes, and you look at the strength of the bench, and we know Kevin's still to come back, but the squad is so strong at the minute.
I think we were all looking at the team news last week to see if it was Doku or Grealish. Today it's Doku ahead of Grealish. What do you think the thought process is behind that?
Well, I think we know what they both bring to the team. I think Doku's explosive, one-on-one. I think he can go on the inside and the outside. He's that quick as well. The team don't get an opportunity to double up on him, where Jack tends to entice players across, which creates openings elsewhere on the pitch, and he gets us into the game and keeps possession of the ball. So for me, they're totally different in the way they play, and only the manager will know. He'll have looked at the opposition and he'll have known what the weaknesses are, and it's been a good week. We've had a week's rest after a great result. The team should be really fresh, and as I said at the start, Ali, I don't think it matters what 11 we put out the minute, because we're just starting to really find our rhythm.
Can you see a lineup where both Grealish and Doku are on either side?
Well, I can see with the squad, I can see a lineup with any of the players in there at this moment in time. But the balance is so effective. We saw it in the last 10 minutes of the Brighton game when Jack came on and just. Really, I'm not saying he won us a game, but he saw the game out with the qualities that he has. He managed to pull 2 or 3, and we kept the ball for long periods of time. And that's something that Doku will learn in time. The way that Pep wants to play, it's about creating space. Every moment, you have something to do which will create an opportunity for somebody else further up the pitch, or there'll be a pocket will open from you doing what you do. And will they play together? Only time will tell.
Phil Foden misses out in a Premier League game for the first time this season, in terms of starting at least. Is it just literally the number of games, the congestion, that means that Phil gets a breather today?
Yeah, I think it's, listen, every player, although Phil will be chomping at the bit to play, and he'll be, because they're playing well and because they're winning games of football, there's very little you can say when the manager makes a decision. You smile, but you are a little bit, you want to be playing them games.
Well, Andy is alongside me for commentary, of course, later on. We're also going to have a look at the Bournemouth team in a few minutes. But for the moment, back to you, Kel.
Thanks, Ali. Look forward to hearing your thoughts on the Bournemouth team a little bit later on. Back to Manchester City's team. Steve, Kovacic in the middle there. I'm assuming probably it'll be Bernardo that maybe moves out wide for where Foden would have been. What have you made to the start of his City career, and how well do you think he's complemented Rodri in that central midfield?
Well, first of all, he's a top player. And I think, for me, he seemed to have settled in really well, looked very comfortable in that area. We all know how good of a player he is, and he just looks dead comfortable in there. Gets the understanding of the players' movements, how everybody kind of shifts around. But just his break-up play and his link-up play, for me, has been absolutely top quality. I mean, you're surprised, really, when City can buy him, because you'd have thought that the other clubs would be thinking, well, we're not letting him go there. Yeah. And he's come in and he's been absolutely superb.
Absolutely. I wanted to quickly just pick up on that man I said there, though, Jolie, Bernardo Silva, because it's hard to call any guaranteed names on the team sheet. I feel at the moment Bernardo's one of them, and that performance at Old Trafford was one of those Bernardo classics. He's phenomenal.
I'd probably say he's the one performer that in the big games he plays well every time. There's not many games against the bigger clubs or the big occasions that he doesn't step up, and he plays it in a number of positions. I think he's equally effective out wide as in midfield. He can hold. We've seen him do that numerous times. So yeah, he's so important to the energy and the tempo in and out of possession. I remember last week and just watching him closing people down at 2-0, 3-0. I'm like, there's no need to do it, but he just wants to, and he just encourages his teammates then to support him. So yeah, he's so important to what Pep wants in and out of possession.
Yeah, it's kind of infectious, isn't it? I wondered, were there any players during your times, that when those big games come, they almost went up a gear? Do you know, like in I can't remember, Super Saiyan almost just kind of went leveling up.
They're different because I don't necessarily believe he's one of the ones in the dressing room that will kind of suggest that before. Like probably like Sergio, you knew he was going to perform in the big games, but he was just played it down. Where Yaya was kind of like, no, I'll step up. Yeah. And you kind of knew that was going to happen. So there's different ways to do it, but yeah, he's so important.
Yeah, thankfully he's with us for another season, because obviously that talk in the summer, I'm so glad he's still here. Finally, Keith, Doku comes in for Jack Grealish. Loved what he did in his 5-minute spell against Old Trafford as well. I think Anthony's still fuming about it. But he's opted for his pace, I'm guessing, against his Bournemouth defence today.
Yeah, again, he's a different type of player and offers a different form of attack. He's got lightning speed from a standing start, and going down the outside. Usually when you're going to get teams that are going to come in and are going to camp in, and so if you can't play through them, then you've got to go down the outside of them and round the side of them, causes wholesale problems for the opposition. And again, I think he's a young player that's come in and settling in. He's understanding what his requirements are, what he needs to do, where he needs to be, but then he's still got that freedom to go and express himself and play his game in the right areas.
Yeah. Steve?
I think what he's brilliant at, and he's a defensive nightmare, is he'll run at a defender, then he'll stop, the defender stops, then he goes. And I think as a defender, you can't stop that. And once he goes, you're not catching him. So he'll go and then he'll get in front of you, and then he's basically sort of saying, well, pull me down. I'll get a free kick, I'll take a free kick.
Yeah.
If he doesn't bring him down, then he's causing you problems. He's absolutely brilliant in that. And as I said, as a defender, and you can be the best defender, but if he stops you and then goes again, he's always going to get, because he goes first.
Yes.
And because he's so quick, you ain't going to catch him. That causes major problems.
The acceleration over those first 10 yards is frightening. Are you surprised at how quickly he's kind of settled in and is already, I mean, I think City put a compilation of all the fullbacks he's come up against, and at least one point they've all ended up on the backside.
I am surprised and not surprised because he's young and he's new to the league, but he's been doing this in Europe. He isn't just a new thing, and we're giving him exposure to what he's good at.
Yes.
1v1. So we haven't asked him to do something that he hasn't done. He's saying, well, we're going to get you the ball out wide and you're going to have to drive at your fullback. And what I like is that he's not fazed by the outcome of the previous action. So if he does or doesn't go past him, the next action he's going to do it again.
Yes.
He's going to try the right thing to do it again. If that's go past you on the outside or the inside, like Steve said, he's a nightmare, because he could be quiet and then all of a sudden it's like bang, he's gone past you and your confidence is shot. You're done, because you don't recover, because he's not only quick, he's strong as well. So when he goes past you, you can see him actually calm himself down, which I like. He doesn't get past you and still running at the same tempo. He's like, oh, now I'm done my job, I've gone past you, now I need to pick the right pass.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, his awareness as well is absolutely brilliant. Now, Keith, we're going to look at the penalty from the derby, because while we were all watching it, there was an amazing stat that came on there. The last time we actually scored a penalty at Old Trafford was in 1992. It was my dad actually took my mum to her first derby, and it was you that scored that penalty. Wow. You must remember it well.
Someone said it was it 31 years ago?
I think it was, yeah. And that's when we haven't been given a penalty since at Old Trafford.
I think that makes me about it seemed an age when, because Steve Bruce brought down David White, didn't he? And it seemed an age before. Look at the state of the pitch as well, not the best.
Same now, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the psychological game of I knew that Peter. I think that my previous last 3 penalties I'd put to the goalkeeper's left. So, but then when we got the penalty, I'm not changing my mind. I'm not changing my mind. Put the ball down, and I've looked up, looked a smile away. Like, you look big in that goal, and I know you're going to me to your left. I'm thinking, I'm not changing, and that's the battle that you have with yourself. And then luckily, good contact, good strike. I knew I'd put a little bit higher, but again, we're down to 10 minutes at the time away at Old Trafford. But I think that gave us a lift to go and defend for the last 15-20 minutes, whatever it was. Would you always change or have the same direction, or would you always see in the moment what you were kind of feeling? No, but me natural penalty was goalkeeper's left. And I think I blasted a few down the middle, and then one went the other side. I missed it, And so I thought, right, I'm sticking to
we'll
the
leave.
side. Yeah, even if the goalkeeper goes earlier, I'm still going to put it that side.
Jolene, what about for you? I mean, I can't remember if I said this before. Where would you be on the penalty taking order?
I don't take penalties. I remember I told this story before. Like, the only time it really could have happened was the Euros, and I literally was in the huddle, and I was like, "I will go after Joe Hart. I will." My job was to get us. My job was to get us to penalties. Clean sheet. We got us to penalties. I'm not a hero. I'm not a hero. No way.
If you did have one though, do you know where you'd put it, or would you go in the moment?
Yeah. I know where I'm going. I'm not going to say just in case it comes off in a charity game. I would have played UNICEF. I would have played Soccer Rage. I might come up. So I'll keep it quiet.
Okay, that's it. Maybe this year actually we'll make it happen. If it comes as well, we'll know. Maybe tell me anyway. Steve, I just have to check because as we know, sometimes the fact finding from the team behind the scenes is not always up to scratch. Hasn't been in the last few weeks.
It's Callum's fault.
Yeah, producer Daryl's got something to do with it as well. I think somewhere.
Upset me and Dickie last time out, by the way. With
Very
headed
well.
balls.
I just wanted to check because they put here, according to their stats, that you didn't score any penalties. No, that's correct though.
Yeah,
not a penalty taker.
I mean, obviously in Newcastle there was Shearer.
It's all right. Yeah.
I'm not going to go. Hey, mate, step aside. You know, you might have won it, but she was there, son. I'm not going to do that. And here it was Dickie or Nicholas Anelka. You know, so you know.
Where would you know where would you if you were to tell you one then? Would you know where you'd maybe want to put it?
I know where I'm going to put it. I mean, it was funny because me, Dickie and Weaves used to have penalty shootouts every day after training, but particularly on a Friday. As Dickie, I'd always win. I'd always win, and yet we'd get a penalty on a Saturday and he would take it. But no, fair, Dickie was one of these where he was dead confident anyway on the Saturday to take it, and he wanted to take it. He's centre forward. But what order? Probably, if it was like a cup game and it's like the first five, I'd probably be in the five somewhere.
Would you? Yeah.
I would put myself forward. Yeah.
Definitely not for me. I'm saying Spellmans don't take penalties.
I'm not going to score it, but I'll put myself forward.
Listen, if you want to get involved with our chat, by the way, if you've got any questions for our guests, you know what you have to do. Just use that WhatsApp number that pops up on the bottom of your screen there, and I'll try and drip feed some questions in throughout the show. And don't forget as well, you've got Alistair Mann and Andy Morrison who have got your commentary on the Manchester City app while you're on your phone. Let's take a look then at today's opponents. We of course are playing Bournemouth, and we can now look at their starting 11. Here it is, how they line up against Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium. Radu in net. Then at the back there we have got Aarons, Meetham, Zabriniai, allowing Kelly, captains aside. Then we've got Kirkes, Scott, Billing, Christie. We had some lovely little clips of him at the start of the show if you saw that from Solanke, and Tavernier there as well completes the 11. Gents, I'll begin with you, Keith. What have you made of Bournemouth in the Premier League so far? Obviously difficult. We know how hard, the kind of where the level is at. How do you think they've been faring so far?
But I think first of all, I just looked at their team lineup there. Philip Billing, when I was the manager of Carlisle, it was late in pre-season, and he was still available, and he came up for a trial, and I couldn't find 600 quid. I'd spent all my budget, and I didn't have 600 quid to sign him.
No way, really?
I know. So
when would that have been? Was that like
9 years ago? Was it 9-10 years ago now? When I was at Carlisle? Yeah. Scary now. I spoke to Lee Dykes, who's now at Brentford, who was the head of recruitment at the time, and he goes, "Can you remember?" Oh, I went, "Yeah, I can remember him. Long throw, good energy." I said, "But we've gone a different way in midfield." But I didn't have 600 quid. But he's gone on a fantastic journey, the lad, and it just shows. And that time, he was didn't have a club, and he's prepared to go up to Carlisle to go and get an opportunity. It's a fair play to the lad. He's gone around playing Premier League football now, so it's a good story for him.
I guess there's quite a lot of that though, isn't there? That maybe I guess the circumstance plays a big part, and timing and everything comes into it. You have to persist if you believe in yourself.
Yeah, definitely. But one of the things I've learned now is always make sure I've got a few quid left in my budget. By the time it comes to the end of the season.
Jolene, looking at that Bournemouth team then today, obviously we know Big Solanke is a threat, but obviously always a difficult proposition for any team coming to the Etihad. How can you see maybe Bournemouth trying to navigate this fixture and come away with a result?
Sitting deep, trying to conceal City from scoring in the first half, hopefully. Whoever's up front, Solanke, whoever it may be, they're going to be isolated. They're going to have to try and move a long distance with the ball solo, because a lot of their play is going to be behind the ball, and then obviously it's going to have to be quick transitions, and they've got the pace in the team. Definitely Tavernier, Solanke are definitely quick enough to cause problems, but it's going to have to be so efficient, because I don't see them creating 7-8 chances. If you get 2 or 3, you're lucky, and then you're going to have to score 1, maybe 2 of them chances anyway.
For Bournemouth, as I say, the season as a whole, Steve, what have you made, and do you think you've seen enough that they're going to be able to stay up in the Premier League this year?
I think what they'll be looking at is the 3 teams weaker than us. Can we just get, I mean, listen, for them to get anything here would be huge. I mean, personally, I can't see it. But I don't think they're concentrating on these kind of games, you know, in a weird kind of way, because they'll be looking at other games and playing against the other teams in the Premier League where they'll be looking to get the 3 points. I think for me, sometimes it's a case of, you know, if we can come away, obviously they'll want to win, they're going to try and win, but if they can come away with 2-0, 3-0, I'll probably take that and concentrate on the games against, you know, Luton, Sheffield United, teams like that. That's going to be down there. It is going to be difficult for them. Obviously last week they got the first win against Burnley. Ideal for them, because it's against one of them teams that they're going to be fighting with. So, you know, people sort of say it's a free hit for them up here, but at the same time, it is going to be a difficult afternoon for them. As Julian said, it's you know, you've got Solanke up front. He is going to be isolated. Even if he does get a hold of it, other players are going to get up to him in time so he can play anybody in. It is kind of like backs to the wall a little bit. But I think today, as a team, obviously, if you're in that dressing room, you're thinking, you know what, we could surprise somebody today, because you just don't know in this league. You really don't. But I think ultimately, if they can come away and it's not and it's damage limitation, you know, goal difference, because that could end up being, you know, at the end of the season, I think they'd take that, get in the bus and go home.
Absolutely.
I was just the few of the games that I've picked up and watched, the manager, his mentality is he wants to play a pressing game. He wants to go man for man all over the park and get on the front foot. If you're brave enough to try and do that against Man City, very quickly you're going to have a plan B. Because I think it's not going to be successful coming here and going man for man and playing a pressing game, because you're going to get exposed. I don't think he's got the most mobile back four, and if you go man for man, you've got to play a high line, which leaves a lot of space in behind.
Yeah, especially for the big man up front. I think, and it's interesting because we know about, I mean, Pep's been kind of king of it. You're persisting with, you know, how you want to play football, but I guess you have to be smart and go, well, there are going to be games where we're going to have to be intelligent and maybe compromise a little bit.
100%, and if they do go to man for man, I never understood that. When you know the opposition players are better than yours, like if you're man for man, you're going to need 7-8 players better than the opposition, and no disrespect to Bournemouth, they don't have that, and 4 of them need to be the defenders. They're going to have to be, because any one of the forward players of City can score and create an opportunity. So to be that kind of, I would use the word naive, to think that you can come to Man City and play the way you play, regardless of who you are.
Yes.
Not Bournemouth. This is anyone, and have an outcome of causing numerous problems is naive for me. You have to adapt.
Absolutely, especially, I mean, I've got a stat here as well that Bournemouth have faced the second most shots in the league this season, 174, so they're definitely going to want to try and keep that a little bit tighter today, especially with that man on the pitch. And as I said at the start of the show, 3 goals away from 50 Premier League goals already. Unbelievable. We'll take a little pause here in the studio. Your commentary team today is Alistair Mann and Andy Morrison, so let's get their thoughts of the Bournemouth starting 11.
Yeah, welcome back to Pitchside. Andy Morrison with me again. We're just digesting the Bournemouth lineup in front of us now. Pretty much the same league lineup as the one against Burnley. I know they played in midweek in the Carabao Cup, but let's move that to one side. Does that tell you that he's pretty much, after 10 games, the new manager, Iraola, got the balance that he's after?
Well, time will tell. I still think it's still early on for the manager. I think he was under massive pressure to get a result last week. So there'd be a feel-good factor on that. Would have lifted a lot of weight off the players' shoulders, but they would have known the importance of getting a victory. New manager coming in and under pressure, and midweek I thought they did well again with a few changes, but as you say, this is their strongest outfit. There's no reason why they won't come here thinking they can get something from the game.
Everyone talks about Dominic Solanke up top. What are his qualities? What does City have to guard against?
I think we forget his age. I think how long he's been around, and I think he's an incredibly talented, I was going to say young man, because he seems to have, but what he does is he's got pace. He's got real pace. He's technically gifted. and he is the main danger, the threat that they'll bring today. You know, he'll be that main threat, and I like him. I've liked him for a long time, because players with pace will always frighten you, especially against City, where the turnover, there's always space in behind us.
A lot of Bournemouth fans will talk about Philip Billing and the influence that he has. Is he as good a player as the Bournemouth fans believe?
Yeah, again, I like him, Ali. You know, for somebody 6'5" to be so technically good, gifted as he is, he scores goals from outside the box, he attacks. He's not one that you would say is a major threat on set plays, because he doesn't really attack. That's not the description of the player. But, you know, he arrives in the box, he scores goals, and he links play really well. And, you know, he's another one that we'll have to be mindful of today.
Bournemouth have got this horrible record against City. They've literally never beaten them ever in the history of the fixture. Is there anything other than maybe complacency that City have got to be concerned about today?
Yeah, it's the Premier League. We've got to be respectful. And I don't want to go back to the Wolves game because it's a horrible result, not performance, result. And we know what the Premier League can do. And if we're at our best today, if we're, you know, we've had a week's rest from the Sunday, which was massive. There's a real feel-good factor around the place. And, you know, I'm really looking forward to this. And this could be a tough day for Bournemouth.
Well, thoughts of Andy Morrison. As always, he's my co-commentator, so make sure you download the app from 3 o'clock today and we'll have all the exclusive commentary for you. But from pitch side, it's back to the studio.
You heard the man. You heard it. You heard the man. Brilliant. Absolutely on. Absolutely shocking. Yeah, shocking that, wasn't it? But no, you heard Alistair there. Get on the City app, and while you're there as well, sign up to City Plus and Recast, because that's where you can get some exclusive Manchester City content. Now, look what has arrived in the studio, as we heard from Alistair and Andy Morrison. None other than our Ballon d'Or for Men's Club of the Year for the second year in a row at the Ballon d'Or Awards that happened earlier on in the week. We did a brilliant show here back from our studio at the City Football Academy. It was brilliant, and there was a whole host of nominations and a win for Haaland, who won the Gerd Muller Award for most goals in the season. Of course, well deserved. He came second as well, runner-up only to Lionel Messi, who of course took that coveted Ballon d'Or award. We had 5 players in the top 10 in the men's category, 3 women's players in the top 30. Julian, an incredible achievement for this club that just seems to continually go from strength to strength.
Yeah, definitely, and I think you need to credit the kind of everyone. That isn't just the players, that's the staff, coaching staff, backroom staff, that probably fans don't appreciate how much effort and time they put into keeping the players fit, challenging them. But yeah, overall this club has kind of maintained a level that is unrivaled through and consistency over what a 6-7 year period now, that not just on the pitch, that they're setting new bars and on highs globally, obviously, and that's why they're attracting so much interest from new generation of fans.
Absolutely. We can actually hear from some people who were at the awards, one of them being Bernardo Silva was in that top 10 as well. We can hear how he was getting on in Paris earlier on in the week.
5 players in the top 10 Ballon d'Or this year, congratulations. Is that proof that hard work pays?
Well, definitely, yes. Thank you so much. Not just the 5 players on the top 10, but so many nominees in both men's and women's categories. And a sign that the work that this club, all of us together, have been doing has been great. And also extra motivation to keep going and to push ourselves every day to be better and to try it again.
There he is. He is in the starting 11. If you've just tuned in, that's him speaking at the Ballon d'Or Awards earlier on in the week. There was a lot of conversation, which I'm sure I'll come to in a second, you know, around the Haaland-Messi debate. Messi won the World Cup, and I think, you know, we all understood why he won it. I do think Haaland did enough. But there was one that didn't get spoken about enough for me, Keith, which was that for the Young Player Award went to Jude Bellingham. I don't know how the conversation was spoken about Julian Alvarez, who for me completed football last year. He won a World Cup, a treble, the Club World Cup, and I just didn't feel like that just went unspoken about, really. For me, these should have won that award.
Yeah, I agree. But on the flip side of that, if you have a look at the national team and what Jude's done, you've got to say definitely one for the future. But as they both are.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Julian has settled in here, and we actually know, I think Pep said earlier on the season, one of the first names on the team sheet this year. He seems to have kind of, his game's developing, he's growing, but has just settled in an absolute dream here at City.
Yeah, and he's had to face so much change, not just the language, culture, and I think he came with no break. I think he played for a ridiculously long season.
Yeah, he did.
So it wasn't like a normal 10-month season. It was like 14 months with the World Cup. So yeah, he's obviously an intelligent footballer because he isn't just playing as a striker now. We're seeing effectively be one of the best players as a 10, which no one expected. Obviously, unfortunate circumstances with Kevin being injured, but not only that, he's set piece taker now. Yeah. So he obviously has a ridiculous amount of technical ability as well. So yeah, he's a joy to watch. Plays with so much enthusiasm. Again, I think we spoke about it. I spoke to players who kind of knew more about him when he joined, and they said he was a mix of Sergio and Carlos Tevez, and you kind of seen that now.
Yes.
He's a natural born finisher, but he works so hard out of position as well. So I'm sure he's the manager's dream, and yeah, I just hope he continues to progress and enjoys playing whatever part it is for the club.
Haaland as well, I think, Pep said it. I mean, even, to be second to Messi is an achievement in itself, but still so early on in his career, although he might not have got it this year, carries on the way that he's going. I'm pretty sure he'll have his hands on a Ballon d'Or trophy soon.
Absolutely. I mean, I have to be honest, I disagreed with it. Yeah. I get the understanding around it and the World Cup and all that kind of thing, but, the World Cup, 7 games, and one of them they got beat. Of course, I didn't think Messi's form for PSG was brilliant either. But like I sort of said, I kind of understand it. But you can imagine Erling and everybody else, they'll be kind of thinking, well, what has he got to do? What have I got to do? Won absolutely everything and all the goals as well, and so consistent through the season. So he'll have been disappointed with that. I'm pretty sure he would have been. But he gets anywhere near that next season, then he wins it for me. Because there's obviously been Ronaldo and Messi. But for me, he's the man that could go on a run, that could get 3, 4, possibly 5, Ballon d'Ors, even more. Yeah,
and he seems to be in the right club, in the right place to do that. And just a little final word again on this trophy here, Keith, the club achievement. I know Jolene spoke so brilliantly about that before, but it's amazing, even as a fan. But from when you were playing at City, you guess, would you ever think that we'd be winning, Club of the Year at the Ballon d'Or 2 years in a row?
No. But saying that, when I first joined the football club, there was always a unity behind the scenes, and I've been through some troubled times when I was at the football club again, but very impressed with the welcome that I got and the respect levels, and everybody knew their role within the structure of the football club. Yeah, we had some difficult times, but there was that togetherness was able to be transmitted then to the supporters, and they knew that sometimes things weren't going right on the pitch, but the club was in the right place.
Yes, and it was all moving in the right direction, I guess. Just finally as well, actually, I've got to mention, do you think Ederson will be a little bit hard done by? Do you think that he didn't get the best goalkeeper? Went to Martinez, won the World Cup, but thought Ederson, another unbelievable season from him.
I think he's as consistent as any player we have in terms of playing to their maximum. Yeah, he'd be frustrated, but it just shows that how important the World Cup is. Obviously, it's going to take precedent being a competition that's only played once every 4 years. But yeah, maybe the Ballon d'Or, you probably more frustrated, but again, the Golden Glove is important to goalkeepers, but again, they're not considered in the Ballon d'Or, really, are they? So, and that's a surprise to me because they're so important, and he's so important to what we do.
Was watching something this morning, actually. I don't know if it's been Ortega coming in or, just as people games develop, but I always think I never thought it was fair that he was saying about his shot stopping, but I don't know, particularly last season and this season, he's almost gone up another 2 gears, and now you mean not only can we talk about how he plays out, but his shot stopping, I feel, this season, it seems to be hard to put the ball past him.
Well, to be honest, when you said to me there is frustrations with him within certain elements of fans, I was surprised. I've never questioned any part of his game. There's obviously, with his feet, his distribution is higher than his highest quality, and it's not a normal level. That isn't, and again, I think he's creating a false image for goalkeepers in general. I think we're seeing keepers trying to emulate what he does, but it isn't just his technique, it's his calmness. I think after his first season, opposition teams and players realise we don't need to close him down because he's not going to get flustered. He's just so composed. So, yeah, in terms of him having question marks over his game, I just find it strange because I've never seen any element of his game that has let us down on a period. Like, there may be an occasion where you misplace a pass or maybe come for a cross or make a save that you'd like to see, but not over a period of time where you're thinking that's weak.
No, he's unbelievable. I loved Shay Given did some great analysis as well. He said, I think all teams should just stop closing him down now. I think just let him bring the ball out, because otherwise it's going straight over.
When you look at it, I mean, obviously as a goalkeeper, as a shot stopper, absolutely brilliant. Me personally, with him with his feet on the ball, I think he's better than a lot of Premier League players. Honestly, I really do, and I think he could comfortably play in one of the games. If the team was struggling, I think he'd settle in there.
Yes,
and he'd be really good because he's very comfortable on the ball. We all know his long passing range is frighteningly good. But yeah, I mean, it's for a goalkeeper. I think everybody wants. You look at all the different you look at Arsenal, for instance, and what Arteta's looking for his goalkeepers and stuff like that. So you're wasting your time comparing him to him because he's a one-off.
Yeah. As centre halves, how buzzing would you all have been to have had Ederson in the sticks behind you?
Yeah, unreal. Because like I said, he just nullifies the kind of press. The teams can't high press because if it goes back to him, he's not going to waste it. He's not going to get flustered. He's not just going to kick it out. Like a lot of the times when you press, it's to create the ball going long needlessly, and then it become like a 50-50 again. That isn't going to happen. He's going to find the spare man. So teams don't do it. So then all of a sudden, defenders get more time. So yeah, it'd be amazing to play with someone that is that composed, and I think that's his skill. The technique is one thing, but the level of composure he has, I don't think he can teach that.
Yeah, we have to get a heart rate monitor on it at some point during a game. I think that'd be great. And I guess as well, the ripple effect of that is small, but then what that does for you as central defenders, just to, I might bring you calmness and know, well, we've got that man behind you. It can only help your game then.
He instills confidence because you give him the ball. He's not just going to give you it back and get rid of it. He waits, and sometimes he invites a press, because that means that when someone's pressing, there's a weakness, and then it's that combination of passes then to exploit the weakness very quickly.
Yes.
And again, he's got good distribution, good eye for the game. He's got a good understanding of the game. Because even when he's playing like longer passes and splitting midfield or splitting the press, it's one of those. It's at the right pace, at the right tempo, and it's sometimes even to the right foot.
Yeah.
So the player receiving the ball, the goalkeeper's not putting him in trouble to get himself out of it. It's one of those. No, we're breaking the press now. Here's the pass I need.
Yeah, it's perfection, isn't it? Poetry, emotion.
Good to watch.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yesterday we launched this year's Water Heroes Academy initiative. So this is a joint initiative. It's with Manchester City, our global community programme, and also Citizens Giving and global water technology partner Xylem, who do brilliant stuff. They empower young leaders all around the world to tackle water challenges in their communities, which as we know is still a very prevalent and important situation for countries around the world and people in those communities, using the power of football to help and give all the support that they need. We're going to hear a little bit about one of their projects that Jolien was able to visit, but first of all, let's take a little look at this. This is our Water Heroes Academy campaign.
Hey citizens, we need your help. The Water Heroes Academy is back with 5 new water projects in 5 different cities, led by 5 inspiring groups of young leaders. Each project is educating their community on water issues through the power of football, so they can help solve the water issues their cities face. This year's projects still need your vote. Who will win a VIP Man City visitor to their project? It's up to you.
Choose your Water Hero. Vote now. Jolien, let's begin here. This is you visiting one of these, very special and important projects, I believe, in Ghana. Can you tell me about this trip and the work that these projects do?
Yeah, it was a very humbling experience, and got to go to Ghana and in a small community that didn't have a water supply at all, and the closest one was miles away, and it was infected, and we got to contribute and build a water tower that would provide running water for forever, basically. But not only that, what was the humbling thing was there was kids of school age, young kids that are around my kids' ages that had never been able to wash their hands.
Wow.
And we were teaching them how to wash their hands for the first time, and it's something that you would never understand that someone's not able to do.
No, not at all.
But the kind of the pleasure element of it was that we played football on a pitch that would never get sanctioned here. We would never look to play. They were playing barefoot. They create their own nets out of little plastic bags that they get water in. But the smiles, like, so infectious. To know that we complain about certain things here, it's too cold, it's too this, it's too that, but they were just so kind of enthusiastic when they seen a football and just wanted to play, regardless of the situation and the circumstances. So yeah, it was a humbling experience, but Xylem, the guys there, they do so much good, because it's things that we take for granted that not everyone has.
Yeah, those simple things that everyone should have a right to, really. Also, as well, one of my favourite things about this, of course, is the young leaders as well. You know, it's got young people at the heart of it, and I guess some of the people you met there, I bet they were so inspiring.
Again, like people that are, again, my kids' age, that have dedicated their young lives. They've come up with the circumstances of not having access to water themselves, but they're dedicating their lives to the younger generation, and they're young themselves. So yeah, there's so many people that have given up their time and passionate about it, and I think that's the key. They're so dedicated to improving the generation that's coming after them.
Brilliant, thanks Jolene. Well listen, you've heard it right from there from Jolene, who was able to see just how vital these projects are and what they're able to give to people and communities. So we would love you to get involved with this campaign. You can see the QR code on the bottom of your screen. If you scan that, that'll bring you straight where you need to go to cast your vote. So you'll have seen on that BT, there's 5 projects, and we need you to choose a winner of those projects. So using that QR code there, or you can go to mancity.com/water heroes, cast your vote, and then you will also be in with a chance to win an Erling Haaland signed shirt. So you get to, of course, choose one of these communities, and there's a chance for you to win that brilliant prize as well. And then that way they will get a very special VIP visit, like Jolene did there, to the project. And then, of course, as well, have some even more support and help with the project itself as well. It's a really brilliant initiative and something we're very proud of here at Manchester City. So please do get involved as well. We heard some brilliant stuff from Georgia earlier on the week. She was actually over in Paris while the Ballon d'Or Awards were happening, and she's now actually catching up with someone she met over in Paris who's come over to watch the City game today from an official supporters club in France. Georgia, who have you found?
Thank you, Kel. Yes, we're here with a few of our members of our French supporters club. Now, me and Paul, we actually meet last week at the pub in Paris to watch the derby. Guys, what did you make of that match?
Huge result. Massive, gets our momentum back, sets the tone for the rest of the season.
Lovely, and it was a great atmosphere, wasn't it, inside?
Yeah.
And we had lots of fans, both City and United.
Yeah, we had a great afternoon, and as you said, with some United fans as well. But we got the result, a nice result, with a nice atmosphere at the pub. So yeah, a lovely afternoon.
It was indeed, and you're here now for the Bournemouth game. What do you make of this lineup that we've got out today, and what sort of feelings have you got before today's game?
I think it's a great feeling to be back at the Etihad. The last time we went to the Etihad, it was like maybe 4 years ago.
Okay.
Because of COVID, it was difficult, and we were just excited to be back here.
Of course,
really
of course. Great. And is there anyone in particular who you are looking forward to watching play today?
I'd say Doku, as he had an impact last week, and he's in the starting 11, so I think he might have another impact today.
Yeah, how about yourself?
Ballon. One of the best young defenders in the world. I hope to see him come in and score a goal.
Nice, I'm sure we all wouldn't mind that. And you are part of our official supporters club in France. What does that mean to you? How does that bring you all together? And it's good to be able to have that group, I'm assuming.
It's great. We have a lot of travel to Manchester, to Istanbul, Wembley, etc. So it's a great community with a very active community, and it's great to just meet up in Manchester in every City game. A great community, active community.
Lovely. We are a global club, of course. So thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the game today. Fingers crossed for a win. Back to you, Kel, in the studio.
Thanks so much, Georgia. And while that was happening, I was just looking out on the pitch, and it was so small, but I saw Oscar Bob, Rico Lewis and Phil Foden all just having a little kick around, and I don't know, to see 3 lads from Manchester over in the academy on the pitch is just great to see, isn't it, for the fans?
And they're all ballers as well, aren't they? They can all handle the football.
Can they? Yeah, I was what I thought. I mean, if I was stood there, I would say, don't pass it to me, lads, just carry on. Right, let's take a look at a WhatsApp question that has come in. This was a belter, and we thought we have to get into this. So this is going to go to all of you. It comes from Ray. It says, if you're one of the central defenders in today's team, who else would you like to play alongside from today's squad? That's Ray in Hastings. Ray, thanks for getting involved in today's show. It's a belting question. Steve, I'll come to you first. Who for you would be the pairing you'd like to kind of pair up against?
Do you know what? And I'm not just saying this, but I'd be comfortable with any one of them. I have to be honest. I think they're all fantastic players. I mean, someone like Diaz, he's quite aggressive. So I'd tend to let him just do that aggressive kind of stuff. But any one of them. I mean, John Stone's a player, and it would just be for me, it would be good just to sit back and just watch him play and watch him go. I'd make sure he got back though, because I had to put up with that a few times in my career. Defenders not coming back. But
name names.
Philippe Albert. We had Sylvain Distin used to disappear now and again. But yeah, I mean, any one of them, to be quite honest. But I think, as I said, Diaz, he's just he just loves defending.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Jolene, what about for you?
Same, you could play with any. I'd avoid the left-sided centre-halves, because that means I'm probably on the right, which is not going to happen. So I'd probably say John Stones, also because there's the potential. I'm thinking ahead. I'm thinking the potential England partnership.
Lovely. Good thinking there, I like it. No, a word. I mean, you know John well. I mean, we knew the player he was when he signed him, and he would, even over the kind of first 3-4 seasons, his improvement was great. But what are some of the key things in his game, John, particularly these last 2 years? And I think of that Champions League final that he's added to a game, and how was he able to go to like that the elite level?
Well, I don't think he gets enough credit for his athleticism.
Agreed.
He's a ridiculous athlete. I remember that period when he was at the team and it was close to him leaving actually. He took it upon himself to become a super athlete, which we're seeing now. But I also think he has a natural ability that, again, I'm not sure is teachable. I think he can enhance it, but there's a lot of defenders that are good on the ball, but these guys will tell you, when you used to hear man on, that was fear. Like I believed I could play to a certain level, but man on was like, oh, there's someone coming from behind me. But he's able to receive on the turn in midfield, and there was like talk of him being able to play there a few years ago, but it's different when you start in there. But now he's actually travelling into there and then travelling through the lines with spaces, and he's not competing against forwards. He's competing against midfielders. Yeah. So I think the way he plays is unique to John Stones, because when he's not in the team, we don't ask any of our defenders to try and emulate that, because it's not possible for everyone, and that's why we don't see other defenders in other teams do it, because I just think it's unique to his capabilities.
It's also, I think for me, and in that Champions League final in particular against that Inter Milan midfield, one in the first half he was the one that stepped up, but I feel like he could there's not many players I think that could fill Rodri's boots and actually do it to his level. But out of everyone in the squad, for me, it's John Stones I think can. And is that just Pep enhancing those natural abilities, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think, it may be more difficult if he's actually starts in midfield, because then he's going to be up against the midfielder.
Yes.
So I think it helps the way it's done, because it's a forward that kind of falls back in with him. I don't know what you think, Keith, but again, being in midfield to playing in there, they're different things.
Interesting.
And I think he's actually playing in there rather than starting in there.
Yes, yeah, Keith.
I think the big thing with John's progression is he's built respect and trust from his manager. Yeah. So Pep trusts him. And it's one of those play anywhere across the back, anywhere in midfield. He could probably play off of Haaland as well. And again, but he's got, like Jolene said, his athleticism, his reading of the game. When he first came to the football club, people were saying that it gives you a chance. And again, I think I've mentioned it before. Now he's consistent, reliable, dependable. And that as a defender, if you get that as your mantra, you're always going to have a chance. And the lad can play. He sees the game. And again, he's always got somebody that wants the ball.
Yes.
Which does help, because sometimes you can say, look, we could all step in, but then we'd step in and all we see is backsides, because people would be running away thinking like, I don't really want it. Yeah. Whereas now you step into play now, there's people making different angles, they want the ball.
I was watching an interview with him this morning, and Steve, it's such a simple thing, and this is I think for any young players really, but he talked about how important scanning is to his game. And I think it's a simple thing, but it's so effective, isn't it, to get that picture of the pitch?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you use the word scanning. I mean, I used to class it as a photographer. Nice. So you'd kind of, me as a centre half, if I was going in there, I would take about 5 or 6 pictures of my options. And then sometimes like that, it kind of 2 or 3 could be deleted of your pitches, but you've already took another 2 whilst 2 have been deleted, so you've still got them options.
Yes.
Sometimes you've closed down and you might only have 1 picture left, and that's when you use that option. But I mean, obviously you use scanning, but I used to class it as being a very good photographer.
Yeah, cracking that. Keith, we haven't got who would you? I mean, obviously, as we say, I think goes without saying, all of them you could play next to. But was there a favourite you'd like to play with?
Probably Kyle Walker. Probably because I've seen his progression.
Quick grind that. Quick pair that.
Quick. It's not a slow pair. I'm doing them with pairs.
But and Kyle's got good banter as well. No, because I was lucky enough. I coached him when we were at QPR as well. So I've seen his progression from when he went from Sheffield to Tottenham to QPR, and it's one of those. He's impressed me because I think now he's getting on in years, as in like 31, 32. He doesn't look like he's slowing down. He's getting quicker. And again, so if you're playing alongside Kyle, he's one of those. I know if I go tight, he's got everything behind me.
Yeah, to get back. I love that. I'd love to see all them pairings. That's brilliant. Cracking question there from Ray. Thank you so much. If you've just tuned in, we have got 9 minutes till kick-off. Not too long left of the show, so the lads will be getting ready in the dressing room. The stadium's filling up. Let me recap that starting 11 on the bottom of your screen. Ederson in goal. A back 4 of Kyle Walker, John Stones, Akanji and Nathan Ake. Akanji and Ake coming into the team after that Derby Day win. In the middle, we've got Rodri Kovacic, a new addition into today's team, alongside Bernardo Silva, who I'm guessing actually probably be wide because Phil Foden is on the bench. And then we have Doku and Erling Haaland to complete that 11. I mean, the players are in the tunnel ready and raring to go. So let's get some final thoughts from the gents quickly before predictions. Keith, I guess we're just hoping now after the run of games, the Brighton game, United game, we're going to kind of want to keep these performances going and keep that momentum building.
Yeah, and I think that's the key is the level of performance, the demands that the manager and the coaching staff put on the players. You've got to be on your game 24 hours a day. Is one to play for a club like City, how we are at the minute. You've got to be on your game 24 hours. You can't have an off day.
Not at all, and that's the mentality that is instilled in these players. Jolien, I mean, we touched upon it, but kind of style of play-wise, we probably won't be doing anything different. We'll just do what we usually do and try and control possession and get that ball in the back of the net a few times.
There you go. Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Yeah, just get the ball at the pitch and sustain pressure. Again, it could be a period of time before we score due to the setup of Bournemouth. We don't know what that's going to look like, but listen, if they come here and want to be open and showcase how their style is implemented, then they could become unstuck, and it could be a humbling experience. But yeah, I expect us to dominate possession and score 2 or 3 goals.
We were talking at the start of the show as well. Obviously, we've got Akanji and Ake coming. So, do you think he's probably opted for that little bit more control within our build-up as we take on Bournemouth today, possibly, Steve?
Well, again, Cal, in all fairness, you could have picked anybody, and you've still got that control because it's just all quality players. For me, looking at this game, look, everybody looks at it and goes, Man City certs, absolutely certain. But I think mentally for the players, these are tough games. Because these are the games where you know you have to be switched on, because it's very easy to slip up in this league. They'll not, I mean, as we spoke earlier, but Bournemouth would want to cause a shock, 100%. But the thing is, for the Man City players, they know, because on paper and everybody thinks that they should win and they should win comfortably, this is when they've got to be focused. This is when they've got to be Man City. These are the games that wins your leagues. Absolutely. Because it's easy to switch off when you think it's going to be easy.
An easy game, that's it. Listen, gents, it's flown today. I can't thank enough my guests, which I've absolutely loved chatting to. Steve Howie, Jolien Lescott and Keith Curl. Don't worry, we're back at half-time and full-time. Before I hand over to our commentary team, quick predictions from our guests in the studio. Keith, quick fire, what are you going for?
3-0. If we score in the first, if you don't score in the first 15 minutes, 3-0. If we score in the first 15 minutes, 5-9.
Just taking all the scores.
Do you want 1, 2 and 3 as well?
You know what I mean? And Haaland scored.
Yeah. I'm going to go 3-1. 3-1. Keith's got everything else.
Yeah, I was going to go 3-0, but I'm going to go 4-0.
4-0. Right, you've had it from us in the studio. We'll see you at half-time. It's now time for me to hand over Alistair Mann and Andy Morrison, who've got commentary on the official City app. I'll see you at half-time. Thanks for watching. Come on, City.
Well, after basking in the glory of a quite majestic derby victory at Old Trafford, the Blues return to the Etihad Stadium with a chance to move back to the top of the Premier League table. 24 points from their opening 10 games.